a senior now. Do you know what I'm talking about? I adopted a senior dog. Yeah, so we're giving a continent together. And this is so funny, this is really true. So she had to go to the doctor for her checkup, right? And the doctor says she's got allergies. So she's on Pepsid, Metamucil, and Benadryl. So my female senior dog is really an old Jewish man. I think I'm changing her name to Max, I'm not sure. And then she does blood work, she did blood work. And it comes back, the doctor says she has high liver enzymes. I didn't even know she drank.
I don't know if this is a generational thing or not, but when I text in full, properly punctuated sentences. Thank you. Because what you're not going to do is misunderstand me. I mean, apparently now ending a sentence with a period is seen as aggressive. Who is intimidated by the top half of a semicolon? I was an English major. If I could, comma, I would speak with punctuation, period, new paragraph.
Hey, everybody, this is Shelly Colman again, and you just heard a couple of minutes of Carole Montgomery and Leighann Lord doing that thing they do, that thing they do in public, which is stand-up comedy and making people laugh. And I am delighted to welcome them back again for episode 2. I should have some sort of a horn here, a fanfare or something, of the funny women of a certain age. Yes, there you go. That's a good one. The Funny Women of a Certain Age podcast, or if you prefer, Funny Women of a Certain Age, the podcast, because I've seen it both ways. You know, people are sending me volumes of viewer mail or listener mail saying, Shelly, is it the Funny Women of a Certain Age podcast, or is it, you get the idea. Anyway, so we're back, and it is brutally hot here in New York, and I feel like probably shouldn't, dwell too much on that, because I read that today in Palm Springs, it was like 100,000 degrees or something like that.
Well,
or maybe that was the surface of the sun. I forget which.
In Vegas, where I used to live, it was 120.
Holy moly. Yes. And people just don't spontaneously combust on the strip?
Well, I lived there for 10 years. And I will tell you that the thing when they go, but it's a dry heat, is actually true. What would happen when we lived there is it would start sometime in April. You'd be like, oh, it's in the hundreds. But you'd get used to it. And for me, I could feel a difference. Like when it was 100, 101, it was like 85 here in New York. Seriously, you were so used to it. As soon as it got to over 105, that's when you were like, oh man, this is really hot. It's hot.
Wow. But over 105.
Yeah. Well, my son used to play ball in 116.
And he's still alive.
He's still alive. And of course, because
Well, he's a lot browner. He looks like me. So Leighann Lord, my son.
Lord, I love that.
I see.
But I used because I was that mom. I was that overprotective helicopter mom. I used to bring like a huge cooler of drinks for the kids because inevitably 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 parents would send their children to play baseball in the summertime without any liquid.
Now, see, when you said helicopter mom, I just had this vision of you running the bases next to him with an umbrella.
Oh, I
over
never
his head.
thought of that. Now that I should have done. I cannot believe I'm a terrible mother. I never.
It's not too late.
I'm enjoying that visual as well as cheering him on. You can do it, baby. Catch up to the umbrella. Mommy's running.
Or running
Mommy's
along,
trying to win.
or running along next to him with one of those carts those guys sell Italian ices from those little carts. Just running along next to him with one of those. Here, honey. Here, wait, no, have a little icy, just a little bit. It'll be fine. You'll be good.
Fun of me, but I'm going to tell you what I actually did. I'm so pissed that I didn't do the idea with the umbrella. I'm so upset. I used to rip rags of washcloths and put them in ice water. And when the kids would come off the field, I would make them put them around their neck to cool off. And then when they go back on the field, you would take the rag, and it was like it was so hot and disgusting. But that's what I did because I was that mom.
Yeah, but see, that makes sense. That's medically
That
sound.
is because I am a doctor.
Of course you are.
See,
Of course you are, Your Grace. Leighann, hi. How are you?
Leann's a blessing.
I'm
Are you
good.
dealing
I'm
with the
just
heat? Okay.
no, I'm suffering. I'm melting
Oh,
like the Wicked Witch of the West in The Wiz, which I
oh
just
dear.
saw
Oh
recently, and it
yeah.
was amazing. It was so
Was it really?
amazing
Oh,
too.
Is Wayne Brady still in that?
No, that's why I saw it.
oh,
Oops. Okay.
No, sorry,
We'll
no,
come
I
back
had
to
no
that.
idea. I had no idea that he was in it. Someone else was playing The Wiz that night, but I don't know if that means Wayne is not there or Wayne wasn't there that night.
right.
I don't
I
know.
see.
But I saw the original on Broadway. My parents took me when I was a kid, and so it was just I was enjoying it, but also crying. And people were like, "Are you
Aw.
okay?" I'm like, "Yes, no, this is great. I'm having a wonderful time." Oh my God.
I still cry because I love the song "Home." I think "Home" is one of the greatest ever.
Michael loves that one
Yeah.
too. Yeah, everybody loves Home, as done by Stephanie Mills and only Stephanie Mills. If anybody else does it, please. No, Stephanie Mills.
Diana Ross did that in the movie, though,
Who?
didn't she?
Who?
Never mind. Sorry, I was clearing my throat. It's
Came out Diana
Ross.
Ross.
That's what
but
I
you
was.
were clearing.
Yeah,
Different
exactly.
cross.
That's what it
What?
sounded like, but no, it's just had a little
Cross.
phlegm. A little
Yeah.
phlegm.
Or a lot.
So I'm a word nerd. I don't know if y'all know this, but I was wondering where the hell did the expression of a certain age come from? Women of a certain age. So I actually looked it up. I was going to look it
Uh-oh.
up in a dictionary, but come on, Shelly, dictionary.
Hey,
So I found a blog called Grammarphobia, and this
Ooh,
this is from 2014. So, and
ancient.
it's yeah, exactly just like women of a certain age. So apparently, it was used for men and women originally, and the Oxford English Dictionary describes of a certain age as a time, and is a quote, when one is no longer young, but which politeness forbids to be specified too minutely, usually referring to some age, hold on to something, between 40 and 60, mostly said of women, end quote. Now then, between 40 and 60, I have vague memories of 60. 40, gone in the deep recesses of time. So I guess that means that I'm not of a certain age anymore. I don't know what I am now.
geriatric.
Thoughts?
Geriatric.
Yes, that's true. Geriatric.
Women of
So that would
geriatric
mean
age.
one of us is of a certain age, according to the OED.
I'm
Ah,
66, so I guess
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm not. I guess it's you, Leanne.
Yeah.
I'm going to not allow myself to be contained by random ramblings of the internet. And I think a certain age is how you find yourself. I've been thinking of myself as a certain age since I left kindergarten because it's been brutal.
Well, that's kind of an I guess uncertain uh, number for of a certain
It's
age,
a
right? So it's
yes, of a certain age is broad, and I have heard it in reference to men as well, a broad classification. But I'm the weird one on the show. I'm not really sure what what anyone's age is supposed to tell you about them.
Right.
yeah,
Like why we even ask? You're either a child or you're an adult. And if you're adult, then you're in the adult world. Here you
Right.
are. Welcome. I'm so sorry. It's not what they advertised.
Right.
And then other things that you are legally where you're legally required to share how old you are. Like if you're running for an office. Okay, then that's important. If I'm dating you and you want to know if we're going to have kids, well, if we snatch them from the mall, yeah. Otherwise, no. You know what I mean? So like what is I still really feel like age, both for men and women, but more for women, put you in a box that lets people judge you. And it's almost
hmm
never good. You're going to be too young
yeah,
or too old.
Say,
So I don't have a problem with the term, but
right.
I have a problem with people wanting to know what your age is.
Right.
Because you're asking
yeah.
me to help you judge me.
Right.
That's what you're asking.
Right.
And I'm not going to help.
Yep. But what I was going to say was the reason the show is called Women of a Certain Age was because it was shining the light on the fact that older women are, first of all, as we all know in the comedy world, women are still, in the world, are second-class citizens, and older women are pretty much ignored. So the reason I
Mhm.
came up with the idea and came up with the name was to put that spotlight on a certain demographic. But like I've always said, of a certain age could be of any age. The original idea for me when we were doing the TV show was to have women of a certain age and be every age group, like women in the 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, and 20s, because that was always the original goal.
I like
Yeah.
that.
So
Mm-hmm.
and I agree with Leighann is that just because you are, whether you're 50, 60, 70, or even 20, people will always judge you. People, that's what, what's going on in politics right now. And we won't go into it big. The only real problem I have with this is how ageist this is. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like they're pulling in every ageist fear that I am trying to fight with for our show. He's feeble, he's frail, he's this, he's that, and and they're not even talking about the guy
Well,
who wears diapers. So
Because no, that's a fetish. We're not talking about his
that's
fetishes
true.
at
I'm
the moment.
sorry, you're right.
That's-
But I agree with Leighann is that our whole society is you're judged on you're judged on what you look like, what your color is, what your race, your gender is, your age is. If people would just accept people for people, people who need people. I'm just a little
Uh-huh.
bad.
and now we got to get the music rights. Thanks, Carole.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
but you know what I mean? It bothers me that it's like, why, I finally become successful with this show, and it's because I have to say, because it's because of the fact that I'm older. Why do I even have to say that? Why am
Yeah.
I successful? Because now I created the show. How about the fact that I have 40 years in the business and I'm a really good company?
No, I'm sorry, that's not good enough.
No.
Yeah. On the other hand, there was another definition of quote of a certain age that made it essentially what's the word synonymous with spinster.
Mm.
And if we go by that definition, then I'm the only one because I have no children and no pets, so it's just me, with my spinning wheel
What
turning
does
turning.
the term spinster actually mean?
Well, it comes literally from a woman who used to spin fabric. But it then
Mm-hmm.
came to mean an old woman who had no spouse and no children, which really is, if you have neither of those, why do you even
Right.
exist? Why are you still
Shelly, but you
alive?
should be very proud of that because you and Taylor Swift have no children and are not married. And she's a billionaire and you're on your way.
Sure, I got a $15 tip today, so hey, baby, stand back,
Yeah.
Taylor. Stand the hell
Hey.
back, yo.
That's 2 visits to Starbucks if you play your cards right.
But that the reason I brought Taylor up is because there's that whole article on Newsweek that she's not a good role model for young women because she's childless and unmarried. So,
And how old is she?
Are you
Yes.
serious?
I mean-
Newsweek?
yes, and I want to say she's
Wow.
36, maybe. She's a little older than Leighann, and Leighann is 32.
Oh, I get it. So
Wow.
how dare she be out here enjoying her
Wow.
life?
Enjoying her life
You know what?
and being powerful.
How dare she?
Yeah,
And being powerful.
that's true.
Ooh, they don't like that. They don't like that.
You don't like that at all. That term spinster means that. And meanwhile, the most popular white woman in the world.
Since Queen Elizabeth died,
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. Who? No, she.
But
I don't know.
then again,
my book was still Lorena Bobbitt, so whatever.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
She's still in my top 10. Like, yes, sis, petty.
Yes.
Was she the most powerful, though? I mean, she was powerful in that one situation,
Yeah.
but it's not like she went around, shall we say, exploiting that. She didn't go around just chopping
No.
penises off left and right.
No, she didn't have an Etsy store with detached members. She didn't have a TED Talk. It's just, she came just too soon. Just too soon.
Yep.
She was ahead of her time.
She was before her time.
If she was
Before
around
her
now,
time.
she'd have a deal.
What?
But I mean, if that happened now, she'd have a deal, right?
Wouldn't she?
And a talk show, and probably be hosting a podcast.
podcast.
Wait a
Her
minute,
IG
I
would
have
be
an
lit.
idea.
Hey. Now, I'm sorry, I'm going to play the part of the legal team and go that Funny Women of a Certain Age does not condone any sort of violence against men or their little members.
Okay. Or anyone for that matter.
Or
No hitting.
anyone.
No hitting. That's what it comes down to. No hitting.
No hitting or cutting. We are not allowed any
Right.
scissors in the studio.
Well, I'm certainly not. Good heavens. Generally don't let me carry anything sharp. All right, so let's all take a second and have
put these back.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. Now, everybody just take a sip from your cold drink, please.
Yes, cold drink.
What are you having, Carol?
Vodka.
Straight up?
No.
So
No,
jealous.
I'm just drinking water. I'm just drinking water because I just.
Yeah, me too.
I don't.
Well, you know, the Russian word for water is voda.
Okay.
So
Close. I do not do the heat well, and as I've gotten older,
Yeah.
I really don't. I mean, it was with you, Leighann, when we were in Haiti. Remember how offensive that the humidity was?
I thought the Middle East was
Really?
hotter, but yeah.
I remember we were in Haiti, and we had just come. I forget what happened, and one of the soldiers said, "Ma'am," to me, "you need to sit down. You're dehydrated. I'm going to get you a Gatorade." And I said to him, "I don't like Gatorade." And he goes, "Sit down. I'm getting you a Gatorade." And I drank the whole Gatorade, and he was right. I was about to pass out. We've been in some hot places, Leighann.
We have indeed. We have indeed.
Well, but you don't have to. I mean, you ain't special, because I had heat exhaustion from being in a parade in Brooklyn when I was a child. So, you know, I didn't have to go to Haiti.
So, message to the audience: it can happen anywhere. Please hydrate.
Yes. Yes, and by all means, carry a parasol.
Carry a parasol. God, I'm so mad.
Better yet, have somebody carry it for you. That's
Sure.
Like your mother.
So, it's time for silly questions.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
You ready?
No.
All right. Well, then Carol can go
I'll
first.
Yes.
Carol, if you had to choose, would you rather have henchmen or flunkies?
Henchmen.
Why?
Henchmen. Flunkies are yes people. Henchmen get the job done.
Okay.
You know?
So what job? Well, you know what? Let me not ask you that, because I don't think I want to. If I don't know, they can't make me tell.
Exactly. Remember, I'm from Brooklyn.
So okay. So part 2, henchmen or minions, and I don't mean the little yellow cartoon guys. I mean actual minions.
You see, I would have gone with minions because of the little yellow guys. Still henchmen. Okay. Not that I know this from any personal, growing up in Brooklyn. Like, I never knew anybody that was in that type of field, except, my dad was a bookie. So, I wouldn't have known anybody.
Okay.
Like I like to say that my father, if he was alive to hear about online gambling, he would be like, they don't have the personal touch with online gambling. You have to pay them, nobody, when you're doing it personally, and they don't pay you, somebody's coming to break your legs. There's a nice personal touch there.
That's true. But
so henchmen are like I said, they get the job done. Minions would be like, "Oh, Carol, we love you." Flunkies, the same thing. Henchmen, I just have to lift up an eyebrow, and they'll be like, "We'll get it done, Miss Montgomery. Don't you worry."
Now, isn't there an issue or a concern with henchmen that somebody else could pay them better than you?
Yes.
See, that's why I find the idea of minions more appealing, because minions do what you want because they want to, whereas henchmen do what you want because you're paying them.
True.
And since I am chronically broke, I would rather have someone who, is fawning over me and doing my bidding because they want to, because it makes them feel better.
Yes, I think that's true. But as you both know me well enough that you don't ever really want to piss me off and go behind my back, because I have henchmen for the henchmen.
Okay, so this we're going into double layered
Oh
henchmen
yeah,
now.
I got you never want to piss me off.
When
I'll
this
bear that in
episode
mind.
is introduced, when this episode is introduced in court as Exhibit A, I just want you to remember this moment.
No. It won't be because everyone knows now not to piss Carole off.
Do not piss
Okay.
off Carole
Okay.
Montgomery. Come to a show. No, you do not piss me.
She is neck deep in henchmen. Nobody's going after her.
Nope. I'm covered, man. I'm covered. Now let's see what.
No, I have a different question
okay.
for Leighann.
Okay.
Are you funnier in heels or flats?
Good question for her.
Because I know,
God.
we have established that for you it is much better to look good than to feel good, and
It
you
sure
look
is.
marvelous. But
Well, I was gonna say if I was wearing heels, it would be I tell the jokes faster. My timing is faster because my feet hurt and I want to get off stage.
uh-huh.
Oh, I don't know if I'm funnier, but the pacing is definitely picked up. If I'm in flats, then it's a little bit of an easier show, an easier pace. Although it is worth noting, just because you're in flats does not mean flat shoes are comfortable.
True.
I've learned that the hard way. Maybe something in between, like a wedge. I'm hilarious in a wedge.
Oh, there you go. Now see, that goes on your business card.
Yeah, not a peep toe, because that's going to cut off circulation, but maybe a nice sling back wedge for the summer.
Do you have something in a wedge for Ms. Lord?
I'm going to go to DSW. See what I can get in the funny wedge section.
Excuse me. There's a funny wedge section.
And can I add just another layer to this?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna take away the heels if I want to be funny for women.
Oh,
really? What's that about?
Because, well, I was given the advice early in my career, and while I don't completely agree with it, there might be a grain there that if you're dressed too sexy on stage, you are distracting. The men are distracted because they're easily distracted. And women are distracted because they're angry the men are looking at you and they think you're cute.
Ah.
So if you can be dressed comfortably, confidently, and cute, but not like drop dead gorgeous, you're going to have a funnier time. Because what you don't want to be is in yourself, in your outfit, or in your person a distraction, unless that's the bit.
Yeah.
So just a little bit of comedy technical there.
See, that's where I've been going wrong, because I can't go on stage without being drop dead gorgeous. I just can't help it,
But Shelly, you pull it off.
Yeah.
You absolutely pull it off.
Yeah.
Gorgeous and fucking funny.
Yeah.
Oh, can I say that?
You can say whatever you want.
You can say that.
Say whatever you want.
Whenever I watch Shelly, I go, holy shit, she's so fucking gorgeous.
Exactly. People say that to me on the street. It's not even catcalling at this point. It's just speaking the truth. Speaking truth to power, as it were. She's, oh my God, she's radiant.
I know we're joking around a little bit, but let's be honest, funny does bring out an attractive quality. People, I don't know, it attracts people to you.
Oh yeah,
so,
absolutely.
That may be your experience.
Oh no, not at all. I put people off with my comedy because does she use multi-syllabic words? Is she talking about issues I haven't read about yet? Oh, I hate her.
Well, if I recall correctly, Leighann, you told me the first time you saw me perform, which was at the Ladies of Laughter competition, that you decided you liked me when you heard me say the word temerity.
That's not me. That's yep.
Yep, I still have that in that bit, and oddly enough, that's not the part that gets the laugh. I don't know. Call me madcap.
I have a weird sense of humor, and I do love vocabulary and love when people use it.
Yeah. So I think we have decided that it's either flats or wedges for Leighann.
At the moment,
and then several layers deep of henchmen for Carole.
That is correct.
Got it.
And the henchmen have to wear wedges,
which would make them wenchmen. No. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Carole Montgomery and the Wenchmen. Da, 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 da.
That actually sounds like a band that would include Willie Nelson's son, and like
That's
Chris Christopherson and people like that. Okay.
Love it.
Next silly question. And you each get a voice in this. You each get a vote. Which one of the 7 dwarves is the best?
Ooh.
And there is a correct answer,
Oh.
just in case you're wondering.
So
I
wait,
will
we
run
got
them down
Grumpy.
for you, just in case you've forgotten.
Thank
Go ahead,
you.
run them down.
Sleepy,
Mhm.
happy, dopey, grumpy, sneezy, doc, and bashful.
I'm going to go with Sleepy.
Why is he the best?
Why is he the best? What do all of us?
Yes, defend.
What are we all going to do when we get off this podcast? We're going to sleep.
Oh,
So
please.
Sleepy.
Yes.
Sleepy. I love to sleep. I just,
Mhm.
and so Sleepy is my spirit animal.
Got it. Okay. Leighann?
I'm sadly going to give what I understand to be the capitalist answer.
Mhm.
Doc, because Doc actually has a job. Everybody else is just feeling stuff. You know, Doc is out here collecting the co-pays to keep it running. So,
Mhm.
what is
Okay,
that?
well,
What is the answer?
the correct answer is Doc, but the reason is because Doc is the only one who you can go to or who will come and help you when the wicked witch or the evil queen or whoever it is gives you the poison apple, right? He's the only one who's going to be of any use to you. And I mean, the copays are certainly helpful. And also, it does make me wonder why he hasn't done anything about Sleepy's problem. I mean, clearly Sleepy is narcoleptic.
What about Dopey?
Now, there are advantages, of course, to the others, but really, I'm afraid I'm going to have to flip all the cards and say yes. The answer is Doc. Leighann gets the point.
Woohoo! No, competition is a sickness. I don't need a point.
Okay, so that's it for fairy tales. So we have a show coming up at the end of July, July 31st at the Triad Theater. Now, this is the first one of the new residency, right?
Correct. That's
Right.
If you go to the Triad Google the Triad New York City, it'll come up. Ticket link is already up there. I think the show is at 7.
I think it is
Yeah,
too.
it's at 7.
Yeah.
So it's early enough.
And it's the 3 of us, Leighann, Carole, me, and Liz
Yep.
Glazer, right? Who I believe is going to be our first guest
Woo!
on our next episode. Yay, Liz
Very
Glazer!
exciting.
Yay, Liz Glazer! But there's also
So
something going on.
funny.
She is delightful. She
Yeah.
was a lawyer, right? Or
Was
is
a lawyer.
Was a lawyer. Okay. Isn't it like being Jewish? Once you're a lawyer, always a lawyer.
And her wife is a rabbi, so that pans out.
There you go. But then there's something else. What are you doing at QED, Carole? I saw something about
this was purely because I've been talking about writing a solo show, and I realized that unless I actually put dates down on the books about having to do it, I'll never do it. So I reached out to Cambria over at QED and said, "Hey, let's do a storytelling show." And it's storytelling; it will not be stand up. The theme is lessons learned, and I'm going to do a couple of excerpts from the show, and Leighann will be on it. And the thing about women of a certain age is that there's so many different areas to go to. Not just stand up. There's the storytelling, because I think older women have great stories to tell that are not just funny, that are so that's why and it really, like I said, it was for me to get off my fat ass, and actually I've pretty much written the show. Now I have to actually get up and do it, so that I'm like, let's put a date on the books, and that is next Wednesday, June 17th.
Next
July
Wednesday.
17th.
Oh, cool. July 17th.
Which may or may
you
not,
caught that.
It may or may not be, podcast may or may not be out by then, but if it is, hey, you guys. But it also won't be the last time that we're there.
Right.
Matter of fact, depending on if I can't get the editing down, I will still be telling this story whenever the next podcast is.
Exactly.
Kidding. So kidding.
So now that brings me to my next question, which is, you remember last time we talked about questions that comics always get asked. So this one is, do you come from a funny family? Are you the funniest person in your family?
Yes and no. Funny family. No, I am not the funniest person in my family. I was just the only one that wanted to be paid.
Okay. Okay.
But I will always admit, I will always confess, my parents and my aunts and uncles to a certain extent were way funnier than me. I mean, their outlook on life sometimes, the way they told stories and shared experiences, was just very funny to me. And so I grew up. It was not perfect, but I grew up with a lot of laughter.
Oh, nice.
And
Nice. How about you,
it
Carole?
was very encouraging.
My dad was the comedian,
The bookie.
and also a high school teacher. And
Wait, what? Hold on. This is information that I did not have.
And-
He was he a high school teacher on the side or a bookie on the side?
on the side, and he was a high school teacher, was his real job. And Leighann gave me the best line ever: "Who better than to teach math?"
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
But the solo show is called "I Am My Father's Son," because and it's all about, you know, how he was a very larger than life human being, and like he wanted to be a comedian. When he was in the army and he came back, they got the GI Bill, and he went to NYU, and there was a guy named Lenny Schultz who was a comedian in the 60s and 70s, and basically he you remember Lenny Schultz, right? Leighann, do you remember who he is?
I remember his name, but I would probably have to see a picture and just to refer, bring it more to the front of my mind. But I know.
Yeah, and he was just one of these guys. He was like one of his catchphrase was "Go crazy, Lenny," and then he would just run around the stage and be crazy. Well, my father used to be with him. He used to hang out with him, in the early, or like in the 60s. We'd go and play, my father would play the spoons. That was his big deal. He would play the spoons.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so he always wanted to be a comedian. And then he went, because most men of that generation, he had 2 children. He got a job as a teacher, side job bookie. And the reason he became a bookie is because my grandfather was a bookie. So he basically took over.
Took over the family business.
So
right.
yeah. So but I'm probably like Leighann said, I'm the only one that got paid from it. But yeah, my dad, and he's the one that turned me on to, because back in the day there were only 5 channels on television, and Sunday mornings we used to watch the Bowery Boys and Abbott and Costello. He turned me on to the Marx Brothers. So yeah, so he gave me my love of comedy.
Nice. Now, is your son interested in it?
Comedy or being a bookie?
Either one. It's a family business. They're both family businesses now.
He's very funny. Leighann is absolutely. I'm waiting for that day where he just says, "All right, I'm going to do comedy." Because here's what's so. Oh, look at Leighann. She's tearing up. The baby wants to be a comedian.
No, tell him no. Tell him no. Tell him no. I forbid it.
I'll let him know Aunt Leighann said no. But
Auntie Leighann says no. He's too good for this. No. This is not the life for him. No. After everything we've done for this boy, running around bases with a parasol, bringing him what? No.
His friends.
That would break my heart.
He has friends that are comedians. Like, it's just weird. It's that generation. I've actually done stuff like I forget what it was, but I did some shitty gig that his friend got me. I'm like, great, my son's getting me work now.
Listen, tell him I'm available.
I know, right? Let me shoot him some avails.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
exactly.
Yeah. So he's very funny. He really, and who better than anybody, even more so than my husband. He knows how to cut me better than anybody.
Oh, of course.
I mean, and he'll say stuff, and I'm like, if my henchman were here, you would not be saying that to me.
He may have his own henchman.
That's true.
I mean, again, family business
Yep,
and all.
family business.
All right. Well, I have to feed a dog.
Okay.
She's not my dog. She just happened to be staying with me and, messing on the floor. And she's very hungry. So I want you please to give my best regards to Peanut and Sir. I think maybe
Thank
next time
you.
we will talk about Peanut and
Yes,
Sir
we should.
because I need to know their stories. I mean, I know enough about you guys now.
Right.
Fine, let's move on. Dogs and cats. That's what I
think
care about.
that one that'll be the highest rated podcast episode ever. Once we
Yes.
No doubt.
Yes, it'll be 2 hours long. There'll be guest appearances with barking and meowing. It'll be fantastic.
Seriously.
Oh my God, I can't wait. Why don't we just come back in 5 minutes and then take that episode? No, I'm kidding. It's okay.
We all have to sleep because we're sleepy.
Yes.
I
Oh my
have to
gosh,
eat
this
something.
tea.
I'm freaking starving.
Yeah.
I think I'm
Okay.
probably having a creamsicle for dinner. How about you?
Oh, that sounds interesting. A creamsicle. I'm gonna go jump
Yeah.
into an ice
Yeah.
bath.
Okay. Maybe I'll do that with the creamsicle, and that way it'll last longer. I don't know. So our next show again is July 30th. Oh, well, no. The next show that I'm on with you guys is July 31st at the Triad in New York. And I guess we should probably attach a ticket link to this somehow, right, Shelly?
The people who are listening, there's a thing called
Yes.
Google. And you put in that bar, you go the Triad, New York City, and then it will come up, and the link will come up there. You see? Just one more step.
Oh, boy. All right. If you think that's going to work, Carole, on your head be it. And then you have the Funny Women storytelling show. That is the 17th, you said? July 17th at QED in Astoria, Queens, New York. And just from taking a glance at the schedule on the Funny Women website, you got some great comics going to be on the road with you. So people need to check that out and go see a show when it comes to a theater near you.
Theater near you, yes.
All right, so there's plenty of time to go see, plenty of time and plenty of ways to go see Carole Montgomery and Leighann Lord. And if you don't do that, well, I mean, of course you're going to. But if something happens and you end up in a hole and you can't get out of the hole, you can always listen to this podcast or check them out on YouTube or all of the various your social medias. And we'll be back with our first guest next. I don't want to say when exactly because I don't know, but it's going to be Liz Glazer and it's going to be great. And so thanks for listening and come back next time. Okay. Bye.